and gentlemen, and we travel once again to the magical land of AEW Mash. I kind of forced that through the door there, didn't I, a wee bit? But to hell with it! It's podcasting time! As always, we're here to talk everything AEW, and we have a fight for the following week to chew over. But first, let me indulge you in a wee plug about this show and about the podcast in general. AEW Mash is one of the many podcast parts which, when formed together, make the mega powers that is the Midweek Mashed Tattie Sportscast. You can find us across all social media and on all audio streaming platforms. Want to support the guys? You could buy us a coffee. It's a wee site called buymeacoffee.com. If you want to do it, the wee bit of money goes towards helping us run the podcast. Podcast costs money, honestly, the day. If you want to do that, that's lovely. But if you don't, you know what you could really just do is you go onto your wee audio streaming platform and leave us
5 stars, baby! Boom!
Yes! Joining me once again this week are my two friends. We have the workhorse Macho Mick and the real Caymanian Hulk Harvey brother. Yeah, brother. You something, brother. Whoa, nearly passed out there. I gave that the full lung. How are we doing, lads? You alright?
Oh, good and hood.
Legit, I'm dizzy. I gave you the full macho man. How you feeling, Hulk Harvey? I love the great land of Cayman. How is the liquid sunshine? How is the chickens?
Amazing.
Shit, you still got chicken? I've just suddenly felt worried about chickens.
Oh, there's chickens. There must be somewhere.
Chickens everywhere.
The wild chickens of
It's
Cayman.
funny. Yesterday I had some guests on the boat and they were talking about. They were like, "Did we have lunch today?" I had the afternoon trip, right? And they were like, "Did we have lunch today?" And the mum was like, "Oh, we did have lunch. Remember, we were at Chicken." So Chicken is obviously it's chicken place where they do like they roast the chicken and like wood under the wood, like traditional. Anyway, and the wee lass was like, "Oh, that's right. We were eating chicken." And the chicken was watching us eating the chicken.
The wild chicken was watching the chicken.
Aye.
They're planning some sort of scene for South Park with the Braveheart painted chicken just charging everybody. Then the freedom speech in chicken language. That's a classic South Park, man, isn't it? Outstanding. Oh dear. How's good old sunny Auchinleck over there, Michael? Looks very sunny behind you, man.
Pretty sunny.
That looks like the gates of heaven behind you, man.
The light coming in, that's a wee bit.
Like literally, that is some god level sort of.
I've got.
Don't go into the lifestyle light there, innit?
I've got an 8 o'clock at the pearly gates, so we better.
You have, man. Aye, literally. Jesus is about to come through there and say, "Mac, come on, Mac." Madness, don't open, Mac. That is. I mean, obviously, this is an audio podcast, and none of you guys listening can see the pearly gates light, but trust me, it's there. It's really there. Good times. Well, that's the shit talk done with portion of the podcast. Probably better talk wrestling, I suppose, eh?
Oh, disappointed. I thought you were going to say now it's time to talk shit.
The whole thing is shit. I mean, it's effectively shit from start to finish. In the middle somewhere, in the middle it's still shit, effectively. But it's good shit. It's wrestling shit.
It's a wrestling shit sandwich.
It's a wrestling shit sandwich, brother. It really is. Good old timey mud show. Wrestling shit. I mean, how many more things can I say to stop us actually talking about AEW this week? Nah, I'm done. Fight for the Fallen, lads. We had Fight for the Fallen. I don't know what it was actually in aid of this week. I know obviously Fight for the Fallen is usually a kind of charity thing they kind of go towards, but I can't remember them actually mentioning what it was this year. But a good show. It was a show nonetheless, and I think for me a bit of a return to form. I mean, obviously we'll remember last week when we reviewed Death Before Dishonour, and it was very much an irate Paul that you guys had to deal with when we moved on to talking about AEW Dynamite and Rampage.
That second hour of Dynamite last week really didn't sit well with you.
It really got under my skin a wee bit. I think I likened it to the Dark Order Stand Tall at the end of 2019, which is effectively the drizzling shits as far as AEW shows go. And I don't think I was wrong. However, this week, lads, I felt it was a lot better. And I'd like to move on immediately to my favourite part of this previous week's show for me. And that was the FTW title segment, Ricky Starks versus Danhausen.
I thought you were going to wind Mick up there.
No, don't worry, we'll finesse that and we'll get him all comfy and then we'll annoy him. Don't worry. You've got to build him up, you've got to give him some story first. But we'll talk first about I think what we can all agree is the very positive bit. So we had the match booked from the previous week, which was Ricky Starks versus Danhausen. About 3-4 minutes. Fun, fair enough kind of match. It was pretty obvious which way it was going. Starks obviously sold a wee bit for Danhausen, who is, as we know, a pretty decent wrestler in ring. He always looks very good. It was a good wee match. Obviously, Starks retains, and then he immediately says, "Right, I'm wanting another challenger."
Yep.
His next challenger, of course, the lights go dark.
Did you?
Hook.
Were you like me when as soon as he said that, I was like, "That's Hook coming for that."
I had a wee feeling.
I was like, Hook's coming out, and then the music, and I was like, there we go.
Aye. I had a wee feeling. I genuinely thought it was going to be Hook last week, and was slightly disappointed when it was Danhausen.
So did I. But they played us, so they did.
They did, and I think they played as well. I think it was very well done. Obviously, then Hook comes out, looks like a sexy wee bastard as he always does. This stupid sexy Hook. God, as I've said before, God knows how that is Taz's biological son. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. But good wee match, and Hook obviously becomes the new FTW champion. You've got Taz on commentary, a very proud dad. After the match, Ricky Starks effectively cuts a babyface promo, and the crowd really buy into it.
Yep.
And just as he turns to mention his big friend, his ride or die, Hobbs, he gets absolutely clotheslined the fuck out of, and Hobbs is now turned on Ricky Starks and continues to be a heel. And it was, for me, it was pro wrestling brilliance. This for a good 15 minutes. This was as good as any that I've seen in the past year in wrestling. Just great. You've made new stars, you've turned people, you've continued a heel run of somebody that needed a wee bit of an injection. I don't think I'm alone here in saying I can't wait to see what's next for all three of these wrestlers involved. And for Danhausen. I mean, Danhausen's just going to be fun, whatever. But great for me. Lads, tell me why you agree with me.
Well, you know,
what do you think, lads?
Nice and short. Nah, I love it, man. I'm actually interested to see what they do with Starks, to be honest.
Aye, so where we go forward is a face.
Aye. What trajectory that you got to put him on? That's obviously no. Danhausen he's still coming back from injury, right? So as time goes on, we'll see him in the ring more often. But aye, Powerhouse Hobbs too. Like they broke him up. But it's interesting times, man. But I do like it. I loved it actually. So I did. Who knows what they do? But aye. Michael probably has some theories.
Spill us out some theories, my man, Michael. Spill us some theories here. What do you think, my friend?
For me, I don't think it was perfect start to finish, but I think ultimately it's the right call. I think it's an example, a shining example of what AEW and Tony Khan can do with booking at times. I think it was very well done. It's listening to the crowd. It's, you know, like they could have turned Starks before now. They could have pushed him more further up the card as a heel as well. The guy is really good and he's really over and has been for a while. But I think especially now, this was the right time for the face turn. I would have I'm a total like mark for, I don't really like using that word, but like I'm a massive fan of Danhausen. I love that guy. I would have liked to have seen that match go a wee bit longer and him get a wee bit more offense off. However, I'm all right with it. Like he put in a good showing, and it did what it needed to do in terms of setting up the title change and stuff. As well as that, I would have liked to have seen maybe the lay in, like Starks continues to lay into Danhausen after the match, and kind of give us a reason for Hook to come out. But obviously with the face turn, that wouldn't have worked. I can see why they went the route that they went. It puts us in a very interesting position. They could very easily go into a match or two with Starks and Hobbs. It would be a kind of natural progression, first feud. But I'm more interested to see what they do with Team Taz. Is that the end of Team Taz? Or do we now have Hook, who has Hobbs at his side? Is like the two of them? Is that the new tag team? Or like, I mean, Hook is. It's hard to call him a face, but he's definitely no heel. So
he's too cool to be either. I think is the problem. With Hook. He's a very cool young man.
Yeah. So I don't know what. I think that might be the end of Team Taz potentially for now. Anyway. So I'm really intrigued to see what way they go. I think at least you're probably going to have one probably epic promo next week, I would imagine. Starks will cut a phenomenal promo on Hobbs, I would imagine.
Nah, you know what I mean.
And then more than likely we get a match out of them. They could keep that going and have a big match at All Out potentially. But I don't know. I would quite like to see Starks go on and potentially be the guy to take the title off Wardlow down the road.
I don't think that's a bad idea either, Mick. I really don't.
I think that's a good road to go. Something they can work towards. But I don't know. Just 2 thumbs up, man. Just very well done.
A very well deserved 2 thumbs up for it, I think, mate. I think with Ricky Starks, you have, and I don't think he's talked about enough in this kind of way. I think you have a future top of the company star. I mean, they talk about the 4 pillars of Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, MJF, and Sammy Guevara. And with good reason. They're all 4 young wrestlers with a very high ceiling as far as where they go. But I don't think any of them have the ability to be as likeable or disliked as Ricky Starks.
I would say he's the most versatile out of them.
I think he's the one that no matter what you can give him, he's going to make it work instantly. I don't think he's a face that people would get sick of or get bored of. Like that's the thing you notice with Sammy Guevara eventually, is that people were done with him. And then they turned them heel, which fair enough. They saw the situation they were in and they worked with it very quickly with Sammy Guevara. They're no daft, but I don't think there's as much chance of that sort of happening with Ricky Starks.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't see Jungle Boy or Darby Allin being like champions.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
The more time moves on, Harvey. Aye.
I don't know. I mean, they're both very likeable and very good wrestlers in their own right, but I just don't see them being champions.
I think Jungle Boy, as young as Jungle Boy is, I think he's a future world champion. I think still. I think he can fill out a wee bit. I think he can tell a good enough story. He can be. I don't see him.
I think that's the problem for me.
I don't know if I believe in him as a heel. I don't know, but definitely as a face, he could go on and be just Jungle Jack Perez.
He would die. He would definitely need to be a face.
Aye.
I think the thing for me is the story, man. I just don't see. Like with MJF, he was very good on the mic and that, and Guevara, you can build a story in that, but I don't know. I think there's a lack of story with the two of them. They know at least. Oh,
they're a ways away. Aye, there's a lot to. If you're going to put a belt on them, regardless of what belt it is, there's work needs to be done to get them there. But the potential's there in them. You know what I mean?
Aye, absolutely. What do we think about it, actually? We'll just kind of shuttle into that. Obviously, Jungle Boy came out to cut his promo against Christian Cage, with obviously now I mean, I don't know what you would call him now, Gothsaurus. I mean, he's still dressed in black, but yet he's not a heel anymore.
That's
just call him the big lucha goth. I mean,
they're keeping us guessing.
Aye.
That's the one thing I found very interesting about that whole thing. There was obviously expected promo for Jungle Boy, and Christian Cage cutting it and all that. Expected it, but Luchasaurus in black was just interesting, because if he was on Jungle Boy's side, would you know being green again? Do you know what I mean? So it's
did you not notice though? See when Jungle Boy cut his promo, where Luchasaurus was looking, he wasn't behaving like a good guy. He wasn't looking up and around. He was staring at Jungle Boy the whole time.
I was waiting and I'm jumping him.
Just constantly staring at him, looking at him the whole time.
Yeah.
So, would we suggest that this is retrofitted and fixed that for us? Is this a good step in the right direction for you guys, or do we still need a wee bit of more?
I would describe it as meandering in the right direction. It's very questionable. I would say it's very risky doing it the way they've done it, because they had struck absolute gold with that angle. They had, I can't say it was perfect, but you know, it's proper long-term storytelling. The timing, maybe it could have been slightly better or whatever, but like it worked out for them.
Definitely.
Christian was killing it, as you would expect. Luchasaurus was the most interesting he's ever been. Is this absolute killer Kane 2.0 type monster. And I think bringing Jungle Boy back could have been done a lot better. I can see why they want to maybe have him back long enough to build into a big match at All Out. Presumably we're going to have Christian versus Jungle Boy at All Out. That'll be when Jungle Boy properly gets his hands on him one-on-one.
I kind of hope he doesn't though. I kind of hope that's Luchasaurus versus Jungle Boy. I still think that's the right way to go.
I mean,
it needs to be Luchasaurus, who's been with Christian all along, is the first boss. I think if they've got any sense, they need to play it out longer. I want longer.
I think 1 to 2 weeks before All Out, we'll have that match on Dynamite. I think that match will happen. I just don't think they'll stretch it out.
I think they should. I think it serves him better for him to be a first boss that you need to lose to first.
I can see that.
If Jungle Boy just beats Luchasaurus, I mean, we're fantasy booking here.
Aye.
I think what's the point? He's not a big boss then. He's not a monster. If he just loses immediately to Jungle Boy, like it's a wasted opportunity for me.
It would have to be like a roll up or something. You know what I mean? It would have to be like he can't beat him. He can't have him tap out to like the snare trap or that. You know what I mean? It would have to be just scraping by him with catching him in a roll up. Like he goes in, takes an absolute bleaching for 10-15 minutes, and then just magically catches him in a roll up. It would have to go that route. But I definitely see what you're saying. Have it be in waves. You know what I mean? Have it look like Jungle Boy is back. He's going to beat the shit out of Christian. Luchasaurus is by his side again. Then at some point over the next couple of weeks, Luchasaurus turns on him once again. Then we build towards a match between them, and then Luchasaurus annihilates Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy has to take some time off, has to build back up, gets at the following pay-per-view, gets another match where Luchasaurus finally gets his victory over him. Then he can start chasing Christian again. That, in terms of storytelling, that would be the most satisfying.
Aye.
Whether or not we get that, I don't think so, but we'll see.
I really hope so. One thing I will say is, for the first time, I was actually interested in what Jungle Boy had to say in a promo, and that's going to be the Christian Cage effect for me, working at least. Interesting
choice of promo as well. It was on the limits of what you can get away with as a babyface.
Very, very personal, wasn't it? Like, incidentally, I didn't know Christian Cage was being divorced for his wife. I didn't know that. I mean, that's sad. I know they're a family that had a daughter, so that's a shame, obviously. But obviously nothing's fair in love and war when it comes to wrestling. Usually personal makes its way in, so it does.
Yep.
With pro wrestling. It's a pretty time and tested kind of tradition with pro wrestling to bring kind of personal life into it.
Yep.
For the sake of cheap pops, and I definitely got a pop anyway. Definitely got a very sizable reaction. I mean, I think I'm somewhere where you are with Mick. It's meandered back on to kind of plan for me a wee bit more, and was definitely a big plus of this week's AEW Dynamite for sure. What do you think about? Oh, what you say?
I was just going to say I'd get a thumb up. I wouldn't go as far as to get 2 because it's not quite there, but it's a thumb up.
Definitely a thumb back up in the right direction. So to quickly go back onto where I was going to fire us out to there. Roosh and John Moxley for this title match. What do we think here? A showcase match certainly for Roosh to show what he was all about against a main event wrestler.
It felt to me very much like, look at this guy that we signed, he's really good, isn't he?
Oh, definitely, aye. It definitely was that,
It was just a showcase for Roosh. That's what it felt like. Something interesting to keep Mox busy for a week and avoid any kind of storyline that might derail him for a match with CM Punk. And it was a fun match. I'm never a fan, or well, let me rephrase that. Very, 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 very rarely a fan of opening any card, pay-per-view or TV card with a title match. Like a world title match. Tag title, fine. But a world title, like heavyweight title, or whether it's a heavyweight or a junior or whatever, a proper singles world title, it's quite hard to sell me on that as an opener for a card.
Right, okay, so no for you specifically on a singles title match.
See with the match that they had as well, I would would have much rather seen that be just a straight up non-title singles match, and then with the option of if Roosh wins or survives past a certain time or whatever stipulation they put on it, then he gets a title shot.
Alright, aye, so more of a kind of build-up sort of thing, aye. I mean, in certain cases, I think it's different because Roosh is such a tenured sort of champion elsewhere.
Aye.
With that, so you're no showcasing a young wrestler here. Like this is a well-established wrestler is the difference here.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I would suggest there's a wee bit of booking power on Roosh here, no wanting to be put away with a finisher. It was getting put out strong with a choke. Like he didn't tap, he didn't get pinned.
Yep.
So I would suggest there's a wee bit of booking request going on in there to keep Roosh looking strong.
Yep.
But then after it, shenanigans start. Chess? Who the fuck is Chess? Chris Jericho.
Oh, Chess Jericho, aye, oh, Chessy boy. So Chris Jericho, yes.
Coming out and then challenge him 2 weeks into it.
Aye, so it'll be a week when this podcast drops. It'll be I had the name it noted. What the Quake at the Lake? The Quake at the Lake.
Quake at the Lake. Aye.
Yes.
Well, it could be Chris Jericho, or it could be Wheeler Yuta.
Wheeler Yuta, aye. Obviously, that came on Rampage. That was where Yuta set up a match for tonight on release day. It'll be Wheeler Yuta versus Chris Jericho in a singles match for the right to challenge John Moxley for the world title. I mean, I've never seen a match so obviously told to me who's going to win or lose. Jericho will not lose that match at all.
No, definitely not.
He will not lose that match at all. It will be Jericho versus Moxley. At least there's a bit of storyline for this, and there's a bit of reason for this, I suppose, long term wise. It's a rematch of the world title.
It's borrowing for Peter to pay Paul. So as it's you've built you up. He's the pure champion. He beats Garcia. Then Garcia goes on to get a win. Spoiler alert: goes on to get a win over Danielson, which we will definitely come back to. So that makes Yuta look even more like a killer because he's beat a guy who's just beat the guy that was the best guy in the world, right? So then you're immediately then going to go and sell that guy's soul to Jericho just to make Jericho look strong going into his title match with Mox. That's why they've put this together. We know Jericho's winning, and it's been put together purely to make him look strong and look worthy of a title shot. But you've built you up so much. Why use him?
I think because you need Hito and Jericho as a threat for Moxley. I think short termish to medium termish heat.
Yep.
And I think as much as we all get annoyed with the Jericho Appreciation Society, I think that's the point. We hate sports entertainment, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
It's crystal clear what they're all about. They are a heat machine.
Aye,
that is their purpose.
They are.
Be everything that you don't want any member of the AEW roster to be.
You think there's any chance that Chris Jericho beats Moxley?
None whatsoever.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
I wouldn't see it myself, but
I can't see it.
There
will be. I would hope that I am okay with it as long as this is the full stop in the feud between the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club. This is the final full stop. That is where I sit at because as we'll come on to, I now have two more stories that I'm interested in. I'm interested in the rise of Bryan Danielson.
Aye.
And I'm interested in where Daniel Garcia goes now that he's had a bit of success against a wrestler's wrestler.
Aye.
Is how that changes his dynamic in the sports entertainers. And how that changes his position when he's beating world title wrestlers. Like, why should he listen to Jericho, etc., etc.
What would the two of you say if just out the blue Jericho beat Moxley?
Why?
Oh, I'd be disappointed. I would be disappointed.
Why?
At this point in time, it doesn't do it. I've got two inclinations for what direction things are going, kind of longer term. I fully suspect that the Jericho Appreciation Society will be going up against CM, FTR. I believe that's what they're calling themselves, FTR and Punk. And I think it is possible that we'll see Jericho take the belt off a Punk down the line. Possible. At this point, there's a lot of booking would have to be done to make that a sensible choice, but it is entirely possible that the next heel champion, especially because MJF is like just God knows where. It would make a certain amount of sense if you want a heel champion within the next 12 months. Jericho would be your man. And my other inclination is that when the time is right, the implosion of the Jericho Appreciation Society will be initiated by Garcia turning on Jericho. I think that's what we're seeing slowly being built up.
Smart.
Garcia is being talked about as the guy that used to be just like you. The guy that hated sports entertainers. And so the story will be that Jericho has led him astray and that he's forgot who he was, and he's going to suddenly remember it at some point and he's going to push back against Jericho.
Well, while we're on Daniel Garcia, lads, let's talk about it. It's the main event of the podcast here, lads.
Time for me to get my popcorn out.
Get your popcorn out, Harvey.
I have nothing to say apart from it was a good match. Full stop.
It was a good match. Bryan Danielson returns from his concussion injury. 3 months in the making, lads, almost. It's all out. Comes out with fire in his heart. Immediately sets about kicking major arse.
Just because it's going to annoy you, Paul. Double or nothing.
Yeah.
You said all out. Double or nothing.
Oh, fuck, it was. Thank you. Oh, it's not all out because that's just coming. It was double or nothing. So he went out of double or nothing, concussion injury, comes back, kicks ass, throwing Garcia off at every bloody corner of the fence round about the ring. He then gets up, hits his missile drop kick, stops, and sells a concussion. And the crowd panic. It shows you a guy in the crowd who looks like he is shitting bricks for this man from Washington within the ring. Garcia then decides this is his opportunity to take apart the American Dragon, and they build up a match slowly but surely, in which we have a shock winner. Daniel Garcia beating the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, in the middle of the ring, passing out from a sharpshooter via a tiny wee bit of fuckery and the hand of doom, as Chris Jericho called it, from under the ring.
I've only folk to hide under the ring, by the way.
The biggest guy. The very biggest person that you could fit under a ring. His feet must have been poking out the sides. I swear that ring was bigger in the middle than it was in the corners. Big Jake and his big back under there, doing that stoner laugh that he does. It's an unusually high-pitched laugh, that guy, for being such a big man. Oh, well, I certainly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the killer in Daniel Garcia deciding, fuck your concussion, you're a scalp, and I'm claiming you, Mr. Danielson. And they put on a tremendous match. And now the question is Danielson ready for it? Does he still need to be off? Is he fit? What happens now with this guy? It's so many questions, lads, for me. Questions that I want answered, and I'm looking forward to the answers for. Michael, tell me why you didn't like it.
So, here's the thing.
Because you text me and I went, no, Mick, no! No, this!
For me, the timing is wrong. I think it is in poor taste to sell a concussion after the guy's coming back off a concussion, because I think that wrestling as a whole should take mental health and brain health a lot more seriously. So I think it is in poor taste to go down that road straight after he's coming back. However, conversely, I think at some point down the line, when you really want to build Garcia up and you're getting ready to have him turn on Jericho, it would be a fantastic angle to go down, because it would feel all too real. I just don't think they should have went with it right now.
100% that would have been completely Danielson's idea by now. That wouldn't have been Tony Khan's idea. That would have been Danielson campaigning to put over Garcia.
Aye, I could see that.
He would put over everybody he could to raise everybody's star. That's one thing about Danielson. He doesn't care about winning. He is all about wrestling as a sport in general.
To compound things in terms of timing, I think it is a terrible decision to have Garcia, who's just been beat by Utah, now get a win over Danielson. I think if Garcia had beat Utah and became the pure champion, then it would make a ton of sense. Continue to put heat and strength behind Garcia, build him up, shoot him to the moon, but that's not where he's at. That's not
I
where
think
his,
it rises both of them.
that's
mate,
not
I've
where
got
his
to be honest.
story arc is.
I think this lifts both Utah and Garcia.
But then they're going to go and feed Utah to Jericho, and 100% Utah's going to get beat for Jericho.
But they're not on the level of Jericho or full strength Danielson yet. They are close, and I think that's what this puts. This is where this comes at. A full strength Danielson was taken to the limit by Utah, but an under strength Danielson gets beaten by Garcia. So currently, right now, Utah would beat Danielson absolutely, because Danielson isn't back to full strength American Dragon. He's still carrying injuries. It would seem he's still not 100%.
There's nuance.
You make a star out of both of them. Like I think that's where it is.
They're working
it
on
lies in the tiny bits.
Fair enough, but it just doesn't sit well with me. I think the timing's wrong.
But Utah's not going to get beat by Jericho clean, so.
You've also got to consider that it's going to be sports entertainment.
Exactly. It's not going to be like Jericho walks over him. It's going to be a tough match, and then something's going to happen.
But
Jericho's going to win that way.
Very likely be a clean pinfall though. Something will happen that will allow Jericho to land the
the Judas effect.
Judas effect. You know what I mean? He'll get a 1, 2, 3 most likely.
He will get a pin. He will. Utah looking at the lights. But there will be an asterisk, and even in a way, there's there's an asterisk with the Garcia win against Danielson because of the hand of doom that stopped him coming back triumphantly, because that was what was coming.
The crux of the issue with me is always going to be my need for reason and realism. Like, me being such a fight fan and having the type of brain that I've got where I'm analysing everything and I'm thinking through things and I'm trying to be 10 steps ahead of the booking and all the rest of it, like, I'm always going to poke holes in storylines like this. It's just how it is. As much as I'm a wrestling fan, I've got so much other stuff going on in my brain that I'm always going to find the threads to pull it with stuff like this. It's just how it is.
I mean, that's fair enough. I respect your differing opinion. I don't mind you having a different opinion. For me, it was very enjoyable. I saw the other side of it, and I felt like that was the whole theme of this episode, was elevate the homegrown boys to an extent. Like that's what this felt to me this week in general, was show what we've actually got here, because it's been, I mean, we all know, lads, it has been very, very clunky for weeks upon weeks, and there's been so much other stuff mixed in with just AEW that has hit the booking and hit the star power of the homegrowns. It's all been about marketing the big stars, which obviously come from WWE in a lot of cases, like, especially with the injuries that they currently have. It means even more of them are ex-WWE guys, because a lot of the kind of likes of Kenny Omega, big injury, like CM Punk, big injury. I mean, CM Punk's obviously ex-WWE too, but this to me in general this week felt like a good week to introduce new storylines and new stars, and I think for me it did that in a lot of ways, with the likes of Starks, Hook, Hobbs, Garcia. There was a lot of people come out of this good for me. It was in general a step in the right direction.
Aye.
However, why are you signing Ruby Soho if all she is a jobber? That's one thing. And again, right enough, they're putting over their own star with Anna Jay, new member of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Probably the worst bit about Dynamite was her wee shrieky promo, to be honest, about choking everybody.
Oh, it was...
I mean...
It fits with the group, though. It is so on the nose in terms of WWE diva level sports entertainment nonsense.
Only thing I'd point out is if that lassie's threatening to choke you, there's boys putting their horn up, isn't there?
Oh, yes.
Me, choke me in. I'll do it. Nobody's upstairs getting pointed at. Absolutely
going to refrain from what I was just about to say.
I think yes.
Tread lightly.
This is recorded and put out in the public domain. Do not say it, you'll get in trouble.
All I'm saying is this is a very attractive young lassie. I'm sure there are plenty of men that would be quite delighted with that, and women.
Quagmire would be loving it.
Quagmire would be shaking the old chin like nothing else. Giggity. He'd be delighted. Oh, Christ, man. Other wee thing, AEW Rampage wasn't really of any note this week for me. Did this feel like a complete and utter B show or what?
It felt like an episode of Dark, and that I don't mean to put Dark down, because Dark, for what it is, Dark is usually entertaining, but it didn't feel like primetime TV in the slightest.
It really was so nothing. Like, there was nothing. Lee Moriarty had a good wee showcase of his skill. He looked great, and by the way, for the money, I think he's a heel, definitely. Like, the way he wrestles, his kind of joint manipulation style suits being a heel. But who cares? It was just such an afterthought.
I hope he goes to Ring of Honor and does well. I would like to see him kind of high in the card in Ring of Honor, but
absolutely,
in terms of where he is right now, he's not going it. He's got a low ceiling in AEW at this moment in time. For as good as he is technically, I think he's somebody that you can fire over to Ring of Honor for a year or two.
He definitely suits being a heel, is the one thing I will say. There's more character in him all of a sudden as a heel, definitely.
He's a bit more interesting as a heel.
Definitely works a better.
I do not get what they're doing with him and Stokely though. That's
so Stokely Hathaway is obviously going to be the manager. I mean, anything that gets Stokely on TV, so he's tweeting about it, man. Yeah, that. I mean, I texted you guys about it during the week, man. That guy's Twitter is the greatest thing on wrestling internet. By the way, he's wrestling Twitter. He's the king of wrestling Twitter, man. Honestly, outstanding.
He's a phenomenal talker. He's got a great sort of look and presence about him, and he is phenomenal on the mic, and well, seemingly on the keyboard as well.
On the keyboard especially.
So I'm all for him getting more TV time and having a bigger stable, but I think being the mouthpiece of Jade and of the baddies holds him back.
It probably does a wee bit. I feel like he should be higher.
The way that group's set up, Jade has to be the star. It can't be the manager. Stokely can't be the star of that group. It just isn't going to work. So,
I would agree with that.
It's a weird one to me. It really is. I think he's an upgrade for Mark Sterling. Don't think there's any question there.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, Mark Sterling worked with Jade and the baddies purely because it was very easy to make him the punchline.
I think that's an underrated quality about Mark Sterling, is that he can be the punchline and still be loud and out there.
Yep.
I think the baddies suited him better than Stokely, for sure.
Smart man, Sterling.
Oh, smart man. What do you think of his outfit, man?
I was going to say his fucking stupid Captain America.
Was that no sex on legs?
It's the second time he's worn that, I believe.
It's the second time he's wearing it.
Sweet Jesus, it doesn't get any tighter, does it?
Doesn't get better either.
It's a sight for sore eyes, man.
Oceana. Sorry.
What?
The fight for the fallen. It was Oceana.
Oh, that was the cause for it. Oh, tell us more, man.
They gave $100,000.
Oh, right.
They gave $100,000 to him.
Right, okay, right, fair enough. Good on them. I love how you just randomly shouted out Oceana on the podcast.
I remember because they did announce it through the
I know they definitely did, man, and I do remember hearing it. It never stood out to me because obviously previously it'd been about gun violence and that they'd kind of raised money for. You know, that was what the kind of first era Fight for the Fallen was all about. So fair play, man. It's good to see charity kind of something getting raised for charity, so on and so forth. I don't really know much about the kind of Oceana charity, as it were, what that's all about.
No.
Just literally about the ocean. Just I mean the money's going to get wet if you just drop it in the ocean.
I think they did a lot to do with overfishing and stuff like that.
Right. So that kind of Great Barrier Reef, etc.
They were fighting against governments giving oh God, I'm going to fuck up the name. Subsidiaries.
That's
the one. To fishing companies.
Plastics.
No coming out.
They're trying to get plastics out the ocean. That's the big thing.
Right.
And plastics too. Aye.
Fair enough. Nah, noble cause then. Right enough. Absolutely a noble cause. Right enough then. I mean, as far as Rampage, really no much else is not, man. And
I can't even remember anything in Rampage. I watched it.
I think that's the saddest indictment about AEW Rampage is, well, it happened.
What's that? There was the match with Dante Martin where he had Sky Blue. When was that on Rampage?
That was on Dynamite. That was Sammy Guevara and Dante Martin on Dynamite. Yeah. So Rampage was Ethan Page versus Leon Ruffin, which was a squash. That was because of a match on Dark. Wasn't quite as squashy?
The match on Dark was 10 times better.
Aye, and I think that was the point of this, was he'd had a good performance against Page on Dark, so Page wanted to come out and crush him, and he did come out and crush him. Yeah,
unbelievably stupid booking. It gets that wee guy on telly, but the match they had on Dark, if they'd replayed that on telly, it would have been a better showing for the guy.
So much better, aye.
Nah, I don't get it. Anyway, what was next?
So there was also the Best Friends versus Sandip Singh, Jay Lethal and Sonjay Dutt in a suit.
Yep.
Again, it happened. It now goes into basically Jay Lethal versus Orange Cassidy tonight. Aye. So it was a thing that happened after a very good Dynamite for me. That was a bit of a letdown, and obviously
a couple of
again,
things that
something
we should
to
swing
work
back to Dynamite for then.
I was just
on.
going to say.
Quickly, go for it.
So two
Quickly.
things. One,
What are you
the
thinking
new
before we
belts,
go?
but let's talk about that second.
Oh, it's good to see they put the belts on JR, Shivani and Excalibur. That's
Inaugural trios champs.
Inaugural champs. Old JR getting each side at that age. That was great, wasn't it?
But first of all, after the card opening with Mox and Rush for the men's title, mid-card match, the rematch, the title shot with Thunder Rosa and what's her face, Yamashita.
Yamashita, aye.
Do we have to talk about it?
I don't think we should spend long on it, but
I'm not going to spend too long on it.
there's a certain sandbag with a title around its waist that needs a quick mention.
Going to say, what is she all about, man? That's terrible. The ethics are just nah.
Aye, so Yamashita, what is weird to me is I thought they had a very good match in Joshi Pro.
In Japan,
yep.
aye.
I thought they had a fantastic match there. Why was this a lesser match? And I don't think that was on Yamashita. I thought Yamashita looked very good.
She did her part.
I thought she looked fantastic.
I think the difference is that when Thunder went over to Japan, she wrestled respectively. She respected where she was and who she was wrestling, and she put over Yamashita for obviously the purpose of selling this match.
Yeah.
And then she's had this match and just no tried, it would seem.
Is that how you pronounce her name? Yamashita?
Yamashita's how it's spelled, but Yamashita. Same way that Takeshita is Takeshita, it looks like.
That's right,
aye. Yamashita. It's
You'd spell that.
it wasn't as good as the first match
Massively
for me.
disappointing.
No. It wasn't I expected a very good match and I didn't get it.
Do you think that, obviously, Michael, you're saying there she respected where she was and putting nobody Marsh and all that in Japan, but do you think now that because it's on AEW, she's doing that to, I don't know, get what she wants? I don't know.
I think it's an attitude thing. I think that she's got this beaner bonnet that she's the women's champion, and she's got this message of being La Mera Mera. Like she's trying to like elevate the women's division, and she wants to be taken really seriously, and she feels like she's not been booked that way. So,
but
I know.
Why would you?
What you would surely you want to get there and put your best performance possible out there and. Try and get yourself some mic time to elevate things, but she's just got this poor attitude about it, man. And when she's not happy with the booking, it shows in the match.
Put in a string of great performances. Grab the mic, cut a promo. Say what's in your mind in a kind of decent way. You know what I mean, respectful kind of way, but like make it be known that listen, look at the matches I've had. We need to be, elevating the women's division, yada yada. You don't go about it by going into the match and making it a fucking shit show.
Reading between the lines, I think that she's really into the story that they're working with the Thunderstorm tag team. And what I don't know exactly what they're building towards. I mean, it would seem that one of them's going to turn heel at some point. That's the most. That's the kind of easiest thing to do. But I feel like she's into that because anytime she's doing a promo or a match, evolving around about that, it's great. Well, not great. Great's maybe a stretch, but it's good. She's put her best foot forward. Whereas I feel like with this, she wasn't into it for the get go. She's been respectful when she's went over to Japan. She doesn't want to burn any bridges over there. But then, like, her true colours are showing with how she feels about the situation when they then have the match on Dynamite.
She's definitely been very patchy, very hot and cold. I think is the problem.
Thunder Rosa is very big in the women's division. There's no doubt about that. But you're doing things the wrong way. I mean, let's be honest. A massive star in AEW did things the wrong way, and where is he now? Nobody knows.
Aye.
We're not even missing him, to be honest.
That's a weird thing, by the way.
But isn't it weird how isn't he actually being missed, MJ?
Exactly.
It's just sort of moved on without him.
I think the fact that we've had Forbidden Door and Ring of Honor, so there's been a lot going on, a revolving door of talent, I think that's helped the situation. But it is properly strange how the top heel in the company can just disappear, and then it's like it doesn't affect anything, seemingly.
Within weeks, Christian Cage had been an absolutely tremendous heel, like, and it totally wiped the memory.
That day, aye. I mean,
You've got a returning Danielson, you've got a returning Elite next week, this like the Undisputed Elite return, all three of them. So that's Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, all return. So again, he falls further into the peripherals.
Yep.
aye. I mean, who would have thought it? I mean, I know folk were saying, like, oh, you're going to miss MJF, and like, if MJF leaves, you know, there's got to be this void. Is it?
Has there really been that big a void?
If you don't mind, lads, I would like to grab the reins for a second. And steer
Right,
us in a
okay, chuck us
different
back
direction.
on to Thunder Road
Aye,
for a wee
that.
second.
Even
before
that,
we
moving on
move.
to that entirely. Trios belts, right? So
Right,
we're going to have
we're on to
a
trios
tournament. The final's going to be all out. We're going to finally have trios champs. We're going to finally
Yes.
have a proper trios division. We've been having 6-man matches for as long as I've been watching AEW.
Aye.
We're finally going to have champs for a division that's existed without existing.
Yeah.
Quick prediction for the final.
Oh,
Not even seen an entrance announced or anything, but I'm going to predict the final.
go for it. As a-
Red Dragon versus the Hung Bucks.
Aye, so the Undisputed Elite versus the Young Bucks. Yes, I would agree with that, and I believe that the Undisputed Elite will win. I think it's going to be Cole, and I think it's going to be O'Reilly and Fish.
Yep. Unfortunately, I think that's correct.
I think that's the right decision, by the way, because I want more drama with the Elite. I quite like this long burning Elite story where they make up with Hangman and it doesn't go right, and then Omega returns and says, "What's this Kim Dean here? I'll show you how it's done." Perfect, man. More Elite drama. Hells yeah.
The thing is,
Could be.
the negative to that is that it's potentially limiting. It gets to the point where maybe things are going to repeat a wee bit, because if Omega comes back and there's tension between him and Hangman, and then the Bucks don't get him what side to be on, you're on the risk of just falling back into long-term booking Omega versus Hangman again. And I don't know if I want to see that. No yet, anyway. Maybe properly long-term, but I don't know.
Like a couple of years down the line.
Aye.
Possible.
So I don't know.
True.
Aye, but I think your prediction's no far off there, Mick. I've got to say. I think that's possibly on the money there. I think that's a good shout.
We're talking about trios. What's the promo that Malachi Black did, where he was pretty much calling Miro to come and join join him and
so
Brody.
They're doing what?
House of Black.
Was it a coffin match?
They're going to have a coffin match between Brody.
Darby?
Aye.
And then
Brody better win that, by the way. I'm all for Brody winning that. I know it's Darby's signature match and he's won a couple, but it needs to be Brody.
aye, I would say so.
Did you see he's in a coffin with Darby's name tattooed on him?
Oh shit, that is commitment. What a legend.
I ain't joking.
Quality.
Honest, like a wee it's like a grave with Darby written on
I
it.
love that guy. Brody King he is quickly becoming one of my favourite wrestlers.
It's really him, damn it, isn't it?
He's class.
Aye.
So, seemingly that's building towards the 6-man, so it's going to be the House of Black versus Darby, Sting and Miro.
Yep.
Presumably that's going to be the all-out match, but I don't know. And then I guess so what you're talking about, Harvey, the question is, when we get to that match, does Miro turn on Sting and Darby and potentially side with House of Black, or just go out on his own? Too early to predict. I'm going to abstain from making predictions, I think.
Too early to predict, but
just
would you like to see Miro in the House of Black?
Nah, Miro needs to be his own island. I like Miro as his own thing. Yeah.
I don't like that. I wouldn't put him in with him. Like, he's completely different for them. Like,
He's a totally different animal.
He would have to totally change his gimmick to make that work.
You can't get rid of God's favourite champion yet. That gimmick, I live for that. I live for the trumpets, man. That's shit's going down when that big man comes out.
I am patiently waiting for Miro versus God. It's going to happen at some point.
God's 1-0. He's already beat Vince McMahon. So I mean, God's on a good record. God's on a good record so far. So I mean, don't fancy his chances. Oh, lads, we could stay here and talk pish about wrestling forever and ever. But alas, we cannot. For we have other podcasts to bring it to you guys following this podcast. We have Moto Mash. It is the end of the first half of the F1 season. We've got plenty to get into. We have Ferrari's hijinks and comedy to cover, which I'm sure we will. And before this, you released yesterday, and you better have checked out, ladies and gentlemen, we had an MMA mash in which we covered UFC 277, and there is plenty of patter in there about a lowy, exciting fight. So make sure and drop in. As always, my name is Paul. Hi, how you doing? And I was joined by our Mick and our Harvey, and we talked about wrestling for a good wee while. Join us in a couple of weeks' time when we return from our holiday break. Hope you're all doing alright. Keep safe. Love you, bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.
See you soon.
you can't shop your granny off a bus.